Oh, homies, I am feeling torqued. I absolutely revved up the engine today in a major way. Now, I will tell you, heavy squats, after a week of not doing that and just figuring out my feet positioning to where I don't feel any knee pain, which, by the way, still no pain, which is awesome. I will tell you now, I am dead. That was so difficult. It's been a while since 385 had that much of a grind behind it. But I will tell you that squat is exactly what I wanted to hit before I left town. So the fact that it's there right now, oh, I'm a happy boy. I'm a happy boy. I can't jump ahead of myself, though. I gotta let you know how all of it's going. Oh, man, it is always a little scary getting into today's workout for the week, because even though it's light on the clean and jerk, say clean and jerk back squat mix-up is a tough one. Not because of technique per se, not because of even so much like too much fatigue. It's more so just the amount of core that needs to be used on the front and the back. Oh man, because I am a low back dominant squatter. I will tell you that. I am slowly shifting to be more mixed, to where my abs are starting to put in some more work finally. But that does not mean it's all the way there yet. So when I haven't clean and jerked properly in actually like a month, because before I was doing a wider grip to see if that worked, and I had the misconception that it was working for about a month before I left town, a couple weeks maybe, because I was more so just seeing if it was allowing me to have a better catching position for my core and a better jerk position for getting it, pushing my head through. And while I thought that was the case originally, I actually just gave myself a deficit clean and jerk for that period of time that made me focus on and get stronger in the areas that I was lacking in on the better technique. I do thumbs length grip typically. What I mean by this is, what do I mean? It's more so like, I originally thought that the narrow grip, because of my big shoulders, made it to where catching it on my delts was too hard. I couldn't hold my chest up enough to where it crunched my core, and it was just a bunch of back and forth, fighting myself, not fun times. What I realized, and same thing with the split jerk, sorry, I keep cutting myself off. I thought that the more narrow grip made it to where I couldn't actually get a nice split jerk without my elbows hurting or whatever, and always pushing forward a little bit on the heavy stuff especially. And what I came to realize, which I'm honestly very thankful for, was the fact that I actually just was focusing my correction, my technique in the correct areas, but with the wrong full execution long term, because these were just short-term changes I made that I thought would be better, but actually did end up giving myself that step I needed to go into a long-term recovery for getting the best technique possible. I realized, especially with my snatch, I realized it more when I was doing the wider grip on clean and jerks, that with the wider grip, I had to sit more at a midfoot position, that I normally lean slightly forward over the bar to get a harder pull into my hips. And that used to be necessary. I used to not have great mobility compared to now. My technique was way different back in the day, a year or two ago, when I was weaker in my core and couldn't get under the bar that fast. And I was more so using my overall strength and my technique to whip the bar itself. Now that those weaker areas are now strong, I can actually sit at a perfectly level midfoot on my starting position with the thumbs length grip, slightly more narrow. And now the pull, I had the misconception, I think, that doing the wider grip helped get that higher vertical pull, but it did put me at a deficit. And when I used to lean forward over the bar with a more narrow grip, it was an excuse for me to not work on getting the highest vertical pull I can into the third pull into my hips, right before you dive under the clean, the most powerful position of the clean before you dive under. And because my highest pull wasn't that strong, or I didn't emphasize it enough previously, I allowed myself to lean forward slightly so that I would be forced to whip the bar into my hips harder. But as most people know, unless you are a very, very different kind of body type, or a certain kind of lifter that just prefers whipping it at max leverage, doing that wider, or like the range of motion becomes bigger when it could be so much shorter and faster to get under the bar. Because when you pull it, when you lean forward and you get to the knees, you have to pull it so much further and harder into yourself. So for sure, you might have a harder pull in general, but for the most part, you're going to be whipping it out forward a little bit because you're pushing so much with your hips to get it back up. And that excess energy you use to get a harder and more explosive pull is really just burning yourself out for what your highest vertical midfoot pull could have been. You know, like when I say midfoot, I mean having your balance on your feet be right where your ankle lines up with your foot. That's where I see midfoot being. It's not just the center of your foot itself, it's where your spine, legs, and ankles meet up with your feet so that you have the most balanced lift off. But it felt great today. I will say, after a week of not clean and jerking and getting back into the more narrow grip, it's tough. My core was not having it. That's just going to be how it is this first week back. It's a bit harder than I need it to be, because it's so difficult to get your core reconditioned when you've taken some time off. But it's what's necessary. You got to get through it, and you got to push through the harder squatting days that requires more of a core and low back, just your whole trunk in general, so that when you come back to the heavier stuff, it's easy. Because doing volume for me is honestly harder than doing my heaviest weeks. The only reason my heaviest weeks ever end up being more taxing is if I'm not ready and I get myself at risk for injury because of stupid training. So far, it's been feeling great. When I got to the squats today, oh man, that was so rejuvenating. Let me tell you what, it is so nice that the squats are where I want them to be, at least when it comes to my comfort. Again, way more difficult than I would have wanted it to be, especially after yesterday. Like, I never feel pins and needles on my overhead squat, but I felt that yesterday, so I knew I was in for trouble today. But it's really a mindset. Honestly, you can always give yourself a more explosive and a better productive and passionate lift if you just turn off the logic for a minute and just do it. If you're feeling physically fine and you know you're not feeling like you're going to get injured or anything stupid, and you're just scared of the weight, if you loaded it on the fucking barbell, at least give it the fucking effort to try. You know, don't just bitch out right when you get to that last second. You know, you put it there for a reason. You believed in yourself before you put it up there, so why are you going to psych yourself out right at the peak, most pivotal moment of your progression? You know, you have to commit when you're at that pivotal mark. That means whether or not you made actual progress relative to yourself. That doesn't just mean putting up a new number. I didn't put up a new number today. I'm weaker than I've been in a while. But that does not mean I didn't make good relative progress to what I've been working toward. You know? I did a 415 3x4 not too long ago. That's insane. And is it still there? I don't know. But I don't care. Because I squatted with 100% intensity and effort today. And when you have 100% intensity and effort, you have 100% passion. Most importantly of all. It's so extremely imperative that you trust yourself when your whole body's going numb. Because I'll tell you what, that the second working set at 385 for 6, I was already getting pins and needles. It was scary as shit, to say the least. You know, I trust myself, and I'm super proud of where I've come and made the best of what I can do in the moment. That doesn't mean that I'm just as confident as I always am on my best, heaviest days. And in fact, it's quite the opposite. You know, just the fact that I've felt better in the past and have known that I've done better or have felt better makes it all the more. It's like a giant shadow looming over you, telling you that you're not going to be strong enough. But even if I missed that second set, that first set, even if I missed that last rep and got it taken away from me right at the last second, nothing was taken away from me. That's the mindset you have to have. I didn't lose anything, even if I failed. It's the fact that you walk away knowing that you tried and you put in 100% because you're gonna hear it. I bet you hear it over the recording right now, or toward the end whenever it gets there. I screamed. I gave it a big old yell because that's what you gotta do, man. You gotta let the impulse take over when you're in the moment. Because the moment I did that second set, I always have this great mind-muscle connection, or this boat of confidence I can give myself. Because if at the end, that last rep of that second working set, if I didn't have to grunt or yell out at all and really obliterate my core to get it up, that means I've got it. At least that's what I tell myself. I can never obviously know that, but I tell you guys all the time, I show up to the gym with 100% false certainty that I absolutely am going to hit the weights I'm going to hit. And that's not because I'm trying to delude myself, but you have to fight back the negativity that's inevitably going to creep your way. If you feel even the smallest tweak, the smallest setback into something that's not that big a deal when you're trying to hit something heavy, especially on a back squat that's full body, when you're doing high bar ass to grass, you're going to quit so fast. Your body and your mind is going to give up on you before you even get a chance to step up on the platform. That's just how it works. You have to be able to put it on the line, embrace that false hope, that false certainty, because I obviously don't know if I ever have it, in the moment at least. But why the fuck am I going to sit there and tell myself I might fail when I haven't even gotten to do it? That first set, I started feeling like pins and needles might start coming on. It was like on that last rep, I started to feel it. I'm like, damn, it's going to be a day. It's going to be a day. But you have to give yourself that bit of that ignorant bliss in the moment. I did that first set. It was hard as shit. And I felt that little pins and needle, but I was like, you know what? I know for a fact I can do a second one. So even if I die going as hard as I can't do any more after the second one, why am I going to make the second one less intense and passionate if I don't think I'm going to get the third one? I just got to take it one set at a time. Did that second set? Oh yeah, pins and needles the whole way through. That first rep was the only one that didn't have pins and needles, and then it just slowly crept in, but didn't take over the full body yet. It was just in my core for the most part. I'm like, all right, I didn't yell, and I did hit the set. And the only thing that means, I don't care how tired I am, I don't care how burnt out I feel, I don't care what I have to do today. I got work in 20 minutes. I don't care. I made it, so I'm going to try. There's no thoughts at that point. You turn everything off. You embrace the pins and needles. You embrace the numbness that you feel. I couldn't, the moment I picked up the barbell, full body pins and needles, my low back and core fully numb. Everything else went right after. Every set, my chest, next rep, my shoulders, next rep, my legs, my quads, my head, everything goes numb. And in that moment, you can't be afraid of not being able to know what you're capable of doing. The only thing that you have to do is lift. Doesn't matter how tired you think you are, your body's always got more. And if you back that up with the mindset, it'll do twice as much as you ever thought you could. I promise you that. Anyway, that's enough for me. I got to get going. I'm about to be late for work, but I appreciate y'all hanging out, listening to me yap. It's been good. I'm excited for tomorrow. This is why I really like this programming schedule. Tomorrow's going to be a full recovery day, nothing heavy. It'll just be something like, it'll be about 195 for a triple on snatch, and then I think 3 sets of 6 at 255 on bench press. And I'm real excited to get back into this training. It feels really, really good. And I think after this recovery day and then taking a full rest day after, I think it's really gonna pay off, especially for the latter half of the week. Because when I get to that next heavy clean and jerk day, I'm shitting myself thinking about the heavy clean and jerks and the heavy front squats. Because front squats are my kryptonite, but I've been getting stronger, and I think it could be there. So I got to give it my absolute best while I got it. Let me know how the lifts and lives have been going. I love hearing about it, and I love you guys. I'll be back tomorrow. See ya.